Fidelity International, Bank of America, and Blackrock are buying up Bitcoin. That's what I'm going to be talking about in this video.
I invested £25,000. Today, that investment is worth £5 million.
Say hello to our hero, the Hydrogen Energy Release Optimizer. Limitless power, zero emissions.
NordVPN is becoming more than just a VPN. Threat protection will guard your device against malicious websites, malware, trackers, and intrusive ads, even if you're not connected to a VPN server at the time. Step up your cybersecurity and stay safe.
Hi everybody, this is Crypto Rich, working with you to get rich with crypto, filling our pockets with crypto profits. And this is a video about something that's really big that is happening with Bitcoin. Now, before I continue, please subscribe, follow me on Twitter, CryptoRichYT, join my official Telegram announcements channel. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please come over and subscribe to me on Odyssey, bit.ly/CryptoRichOdyssey. It just takes an email and a sign up. And I produce really salty material, far too salty for YouTube. So follow me there and support my work there because of the censorship and all that shadow banning business that goes on YouTube. So Fidelity International, Bank of America, and Blackrock are buying up Bitcoin. And what does that mean for the Bitcoin price? I'll have a look at that later on because Bitcoin is in a falling wedge, which is a bullish pattern. Now, for this video, I'm indebted to Bitcoin Culture. And I heard about this tweet, this thread that I'm going to go through from Tom Luongo. And I do suggest you go and subscribe to Tom Luongo, tomluongo.me. Go become a patron. I'm one of his patrons. Really useful information there on politics and macroeconomics. And watch out for my next video with Tom Luongo, which is hopefully some point in July. Okay, so Bitcoin Culture. Did you know that while the SEC is busy suing Binance and Coinbase, BlackRock and the biggest banks in the US silently bought record amounts of Bitcoin? These banks buying Bitcoin in Q1 2023 include BlackRock, Bank of America, and Fidelity. What is it that they know and why are they buying it? And is this going to be bullish for the price of Bitcoin or bearish for the price of Bitcoin? Now, I'll link to this tweet in the description below so you can check it out for yourself. Okay, looking at the largest holders of MicroStrategy, now this is the company which is headed by Michael Saylor, we can see that some big banks have been buying huge amounts of MSTR, which is the stock for MicroStrategy, in Q1 2023. This is the same MicroStrategy that's the largest institutional holder of Bitcoin, owning 140,000 Bitcoin, worth currently over $3 billion. You can see here how much they've bought and sold. So you got BlackRock Fund Advisors and Bank of America Securities, and the change. Bank of America has increased their holdings by 47,786%. That's an incredible amount. And the total value that they hold in shares is 59.5 million. And BlackRock own 156.8 million worth of shares. Fidelity, 25.475. And they've increased their holdings by 28,982%. Meanwhile, Morgan Stanley have reduced their holdings by just under 10%. Now, with the recent SEC lawsuits and Operation Choke Point 2.0, why are these banks buying stocks correlated to the Bitcoin price? Considering there's no ETF in the US, buying MSTR is the easiest way for some US investors to get exposure to the price of Bitcoin. Now, this chart shows the relative performance of Bitcoin, MSTR, MicroStrategy, and the Nasdaq. The blue line is Nasdaq's, and it goes back to about September or August 2020. So you can see how well the Nasdaq had performed. If you'd put your money in a Nasdaq tracker fund, that's how well you would have done. If you put your money in Bitcoin, this is how well you would have done, much better. But if you'd put your money in MSTR, MicroStrategy, you'd have done even better than Bitcoin. Now, Bank of America is the second largest US bank. It has a market cap of $233 billion and over $3 trillion of assets under management. But the largest asset manager is BlackRock, and they have over $10 trillion of assets under management. And look and see what they're doing. See, BlackRock have a 2.37% stake in MicroStrategy, but BlackRock, they have a 6.24% stake in MicroStrategy. Now you could say, but wait a minute, BlackRock, they're only investing in ESG-friendly companies. You know, those that environmental, social, governance scores and stuff like that, right? And Bitcoin doesn't do that. In fact, there's a lot of stuff in the mainstream media about how environmentally unfriendly Bitcoin is. But when you analyze that, dig into it, compare it with the fiat alternative, Bitcoin is so much better for the environment. And I'm going to go into that briefly, a couple of reasons why, right? So first off, Bitcoin has to, because of market dynamics, pursue the cheapest, most economical energy costs. So imagine you're a large Bitcoin mining farm. You're going to want to use energy that's the cheapest of all, because that's going to eat away at your profits. So you'll go to where energy is cheap and where it's renewable and where it's reliable. So for example, using hydro facilities or solar power in Texas. What you can't do if you're a Bitcoin mining farm is what the banks can do and what central banks can do with fiat currency. They don't have to pay any regard to energy costs. Why? Because they can just print extra fiat. They can just press the button, quantitative easing, produce more fiat to pay for their energy costs. So there's no market dynamics that's driving them to ensure that they use low cost, cheap energy. And as a Bitcoin mining farm, you can't print any more Bitcoin in order to pay for your energy costs, because currently 6.25 Bitcoin are produced every 10 minutes, and that can't change. The other thing that you can't do with Bitcoin is you can't pin extra Bitcoin to pay for diesel costs, to go mine for minerals and metals, to then manufacture them into weaponry, and then to pay for the aviation fuel to go fly them around the world and drop them as bombs and armaments on other people's heads. You can't do that with Bitcoin, but you can do that with fiat currency, as the governments are doing currently to fuel the Ukraine war. And one thing that always puzzles me is how come groups like Just Stop Oil and Extinction Rebellion and all the others never talk about the environmental damage of the military-industrial complex. The environmental damage of the military-industrial complex, funded by the banking sector, dwarfs any environmental damage that can be done by Bitcoin. But the mainstream media, which is funded by the banksters, they don't tell you that. Instead, what they do is they attack Bitcoin. Now, Fidelity Investment, they have increased their holdings by 28,982%, and they now own 1% of MSTR stock. But the sixth largest bank in Canada, the National Bank of Canada, has also started buying Bitcoin. Now, could it be because Standard Chartered have predicted that the 2024 Bitcoin price is going to reach at least $100,000? But there's more. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF application with the SEC has a jaw-dropping success rate of 575 to 1. So could BlackRock be the first company to have their Bitcoin ETF application approved by the SEC? Now, in this Twitter thread by Kihar Rohit, which I'll link to in the description below, he says that the price, the $2,000 price in just a few days of Bitcoin in the last few days, is down to BlackRock's Bitcoin Spot ETF application, and they're going to be having Coinbase as a custodian. Now, this is Bitcoin against the dollar on CoinMarketCap, and in the short term, I think that BlackRock and Fidelity and Bank of America and other institutional investors buying MicroStrategy stock and BlackRock getting a Bitcoin ETF, spot ETF, if they're assuming their application is successful, I think that is bullish for Bitcoin price in the short term. In the medium term, I'm not so sure. In the long term, I'm not so sure. And why is that? Well, one of the things that BlackRock can do is ride the predicted price hike in Bitcoin between now and the next halving, which is going to be in March, April. And if you don't know what that means, is where we have 6.25 Bitcoin being born every 10 minutes currently, as of March, April 2024, it's going to be 3 1/8 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. So while demand and knowledge and acceptance of Bitcoin has grown, the supply will diminish. And in previous halvings, what happens is you have price going parabolic about a year after the actual halving takes place. So we could be looking at, in March, April 2025, of a price hike of, as suggested by Standard Chartered, of about $100,000. Now, no, this is not guaranteed, and don't put in any more than you can afford to lose. So maybe BlackRock and Fidelity and Bank of America and the others are getting in order to ride that price hike. And perhaps what they might do is they might crash it afterwards by selling their stock, dumping it on the market, since BlackRock is a partner to the WEF, and what the WEF want for everybody is they want us using central bank digital currencies, a biometric ID, with a digital wallet and a central bank digital currency, a centralized digital programmable currency that is controlled by central banks or controlled by governments, tracking every single expenditure, penalizing at source should they wish to do so. If we buy too much meat or breathe out too much carbon dioxide or something, they get to decide. And the threat to that system is Bitcoin, because it's decentralized. Now, if they do crash the price in Bitcoin, what could happen is people will buy up the Bitcoin unless the government gets go. Now, what could happen if BlackRock were to crash the price at some point in the future is that people will buy up the Bitcoin unless governments the world over close off the fiat ramps and the fiat off ramps. So there's no way to move from your fiat currency, be it dollars or pounds or euros or whatever, to get onto the Bitcoin blockchain. In which case, it would be smart to get into Bitcoin and crypto now, just buying a little bit here and there, keep buying, keep buying, keep buying. And then you've got that as an alternative means of exchange, a decentralized means of exchange that can't be controlled by the banks, that gives us financial sovereignty and freedom. Now, a quick look at the chart while we're here, and I'm recording this on Monday, the 19th of June, and Bitcoin is at about $26,400, just underneath this resistance line on the daily chart. And what could happen is if this is accurate, this is a descending wedge, and a descending wedge is a bullish pattern, is we could have a breakout. Now, the other thing about descending wedge is that you have a decline in volume. So it started about here, and we have had a decline in volume, which is clearer on the weekly chart. Let's have a look at the weekly chart. Let's just expand in. There's the declining wedge, and then you can see here the volume going down over the course of the wedge. And what that means is the sellers are essentially running out of steam. And as the sellers run out of steam, there's a tussle between the sellers and the buyers. And it looks like this week so far is bullish, but it is only Monday, that if this broken through, then we're looking at a price target of, and how do you do that? Well, you take me out of the way. You take this here. Oh, wrong one. Let's get rid of that. We want price target. We want the price range. There you go. Let's do that there, down to there. Control C, copy, carry it across. Oh, so about that, right? That's the price range. Copy that, paste that. That's not working. Let's try that again. Hold on a second. Move that across there. Okay, Control, Command C. V. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Let's move down a little bit. Let's move that across. Let's say the breakout is happening today. We're looking at 29,600, but I think maybe 30,000. So that would be a breakout if that happened, as a consequence of all the bullish news that's happening with regards to BlackRock and Bank of America and Fidelity. But one of the things to watch out for is the world is so screwy right now. There is so much mischief and mess happening at the political level, the macroeconomic level, and also in terms of the finances. There is a slow rolling banking collapse that's happening in the background. And also the ECB is not in good shape at all because because they raised interest rates last week, and the European Union is so broke. That's why they had negative interest rates for so many years and zero interest rates, because they're not able to pay back on any of their bonds. Interest rates rises, it gets rocky for the euro. Okay. The way out, Bitcoin. Bitcoin, gold, silver, Pirate Chain, Monero. But don't put any... All right, that's it. Thank you very much. Comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think is going to happen with the Bitcoin price, with the BlackRock ETF. And between now and when I see you next, please keep filling your pockets with crypto profits. This is Crypto Rich signing out. All the best. Bye-bye.